I think the zero COVID policy is one of the clearest examples of the duality and the contradiction between socialism and capitalism in China. During the first phase of the pandemic from 2020 to 2021, zero COVID was executed on such an efficient scale that it genuinely showed the merits of socialism. The basic logic was that the government takes full responsibility for the health of all citizens, and as long as even one citizen is sick, that responsibility is not fully fulfilled. This was a situation where the power of the state was matched by the responsibility of the state. And during that 2-year interval, China's economy expanded faster than much of the world, and its manufacturing dominance actually strengthened as the alternative supply chain was undermined by COVID. In many smaller cities and villages across China, people went on for months without major lockdowns, and the disruption to the economy was relatively minimal. However, the model began to break down in 2022. I think the reason was because zero COVID has started to become a business. Because of the COVID lockdown, the government has to find alternative source of revenue, and the industry behind COVID testing has become one of them. By late 2022, there were IPOs proposals in China built around supplying food to residents in lockdown cities. There were venture capital projects centered on autonomous COVID testing devices. This is where zero COVID no longer makes sense, because once pandemic control becomes a business, the proportionality between the responsibility of the state and the power of the state also begins to break down. This is also why by the end of 2022, COVID protests began to erupt. The real turning point was actually not the protests in major cities. It was actually that across China, many villages and rural communities also began to felt the burden of unnecessary lockdowns. If China had carried out the selective and organized reopening that it initially planned to be completed in the spring of 2023, I think China could have emerged from the pandemic with one of the lowest death tolls in the world.